Okay, hi. So we are going to show you, I'm going to show you one of the activities that I do with the recreational healing. You can really do this with trauma-informed care participants. You can do this with teenagers. Anybody that can write and can spell can do this, and it's a really great exercise. So what we have is some babies, and I usually try to get babies that have the most of this plastic, because we are going, the activity calls for plastic, and more areas that you have plastic are the better the game is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I have a baby and my participant has a baby, and I'm going to ask for you to pick a color. And she picked blue, and I'm going to pick green. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you, think of some things that you've heard, like, so this is my child, this is my inner child, and that is your inner child, okay? This is a totally safe space. I'm gonna have you write things that people have said to you, things that you've heard about yourself, okay? Nobody else is gonna know about this. We're doing this for activity purposes, but nobody's gonna share your information. It is gonna be yours, okay? All right, so on your baby's feet, you are gonna write some really negative things that people have told you. Maybe someone told you you were stupid when you did an activity. Think back to, it could be somebody close, it could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend, it could be a sibling, anything that you think. So I'm thinking, I'm gonna say the person's name, and then you're gonna write maybe something negative that you always hear them say, or maybe they said one time, but it really affected you and you remember it and it was completely negative. Okay, so let's start with dad, something dad might have said. Your dad. And I'm thinking of my dad. So it's totally personal to me. Her baby is gonna look totally different than my baby. It's gonna have completely different thoughts, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Okay, so and I love doing this in a group setting as well. The more people, like if you're having a peer group, if you have a group of teenagers, maybe they're having a sleepover or a retreat day, this is a fabulous activity to do with them. And I'll show you why in a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna put
the room's right here.
Negative. Sorry, mine was long. Could be like a phrase or a statement, something that really affected you and stayed with you. Let's see. As much as you can remember. Okay, so next person, think about maybe something that your mom said to you. Maybe mom or grandma. Okay, maybe somebody like an aunt or an uncle or a cousin. I'm going through all the sides, like my family sides, the groups and that kind of thing. Because I have, for me, example, I have some really distant family members, and so I'm just going through all the different circles, and that kind of helped me hone into maybe something that isn't resonate with me right now, or that doesn't just pop into my head. Okay, think of a friend, a friend, or maybe not a friend, maybe an acquaintance, or a frenemy or an enemy at school, high school, middle school, elementary school, something that you bothered you so much that you had to come home and tell your mom, or you just really, really stuck with you. Okay, so that's okay, so I'm gonna say grab another color. Push your color back, grab another color. And I'm gonna grab black. Okay, on your baby's right arm. I'm looking, I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's say looking at right arm. Okay. Something that you see that is really, that you don't like. Something about yourself that you really don't like. Maybe it's a talent or a skill that you just get down on yourself for not being able to do. Something that is not a good attribute that you think about yourself. Now I'm having a brain block. Okay, so on the same arm, write some things that you think, how others view you, like coworkers, teachers, your spouse. What are some things that you think negatively that they think about you? Like, you're not disciplined, you're not a very good cleaner, you're not supportive, something that you feel, maybe you hear it, maybe they've shown you, maybe you just have that perception, something that you, a negative thing that somebody is viewing you as. Whether it's true or not. Could even be like, sometimes people will give you like negative labels, like, oh, you're so gullible, or anything like that that really just sticks with you, bothers you. Okay, new color. And these are also erasable markers, just so that you know. Okay, so on the baby's left arm, we are going to write all the things you can do. What do you love about yourself? Okay, so on the same arm, maybe on the other side, we're gonna write, what do we want to do? What do we want for ourselves? Maybe there's something that you wanted to learn how to do and you haven't been able to do it, but you're just kind of like on your bucket list. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I really wanna do this. What is something that you want for yourself? Need more time? Okay. That's typically not the hardest one. That's usually the easiest one. Okay, so last color. Pick a color. What color have I not used yet? Blue. Okay. And this is, so this is going to be the last color for this exercise. I actually do this exercise, I think like 3 or 4 different ways. So I just wanted to show you the first, and it gets a little bit, we get a little bit deeper and there's more questions that we can ask, but this is kind of like an intro to this activity. Okay, this is my baby. This is me. I'm talking to myself. What do I want my child to know? Like, if you could go back and let's say you were getting yelled at for doing something wrong when you were a little girl, and you remember that just really affected you, how somebody was speaking to you, or how somebody belittled you, or someone emotionally harmed you. What would you want to tell your child, yourself, that child, in at that moment? Like, if you were that guardian angel over that child, what would you whisper into their head? Okay, so just think of those. What do you want your baby, what do you want your inner child to know? Okay, do you have any questions? This is kind of be a little bit harder. So like, okay, so I'll give you an example. I was told by my grandmother that I was ugly, and we didn't have a very close relationship. She was a very mean, angry person, and even though it was said in a joking way, it was meant to be hurtful, and that really stuck with me. And so what I would tell my inner child, what I want my inner child to know, is that I'm not ugly, and it really doesn't matter. My image doesn't matter. What matters is how you're making someone feel, and I want to make my inner child feel good about herself. So write down some of those things that you want your inner child to know. Is that better? Yeah, anywhere on the head. So our babies here have a plastic hair, so kind of gives me some more ground to write things, which is great. If you have like hair, real hair on your baby, then just write on the face, because these are eraser, like I said, erasable markers, and we're gonna be able to wash our baby when we're all done. So don't feel odd or awkward to write on your baby's face. Okay, so this is what I'm telling my baby, my inner child. And this can go really on forever. I mean, you can do so much. So we're doing a really quick one. Okay, ready? Okay, so in a normal session, I would have that person read out what the things are on their baby. Sometimes I have you switch. It's really depends on the comfortability of the comfortableness, of your participant. And so I will ask them, do you want to share your baby's messages out loud, or do you want me to do it? And so we can switch babies, and she'll read mine out loud and I'll read hers out loud, and or his, and or we'll read our own out. And I'm not gonna have you do that in this session because I know that you don't want to, and that's totally fine. I'm gonna kind of give you some examples from my inner child, and I'm gonna show you what we would talk about. Okay, so the reason I had you write on your feet is because this is what we stand on. We stand on our feet. And the things that we hear in our childhood, now in our adult life, throughout our whole life, they stick with us. And they are the ground and the root of who we become. And so we want to learn how to take that with a grain of salt. it really did affect me, and it hurt my feelings that my grandmother said that to me, and it was something that was constant. And it sounds horrible, but and it we know it's not true, but it's affecting me. It's affecting my emotional stability, my socializing, and so that's something that we want to talk about out loud so we can regulate through that and learn to love ourselves for a plethora of reasons. So it's really important to realize that, like, you know, we say, oh, it's fine, I know she was joking or brushed me off, but it really does affect us. So acknowledging that for your inner child is super, super important. So moving forward, we didn't do the legs today, but they will always, these are some of the things that will always stick with us. And so they can later be triggers, which we want to be aware of so that we can also work through those. Okay, so on the right arm, we did negative. I put lazy, not successful, and the questions were, what are some things that you think bad about yourself and what you think others perceive you as well. And I put gullible, so I heard that a lot. I even hear it, you know, as an adult, like, oh, you're so gullible. And it's, I'm a stronger person now, and I can regulate better, and I can understand and not take things so personal. However, it is still it was a trigger, and so I was able to acknowledge that as a trigger and work through that. And I put it on the right arm because we always assume that what people say is right, and we take that in us, and it's not. And so we need to acknowledge that that might be one person's opinion, that might be one person's perception, and their perception is changed by their truth. And also, what was my thought? I just flew out of my brain. That's okay. So it's someone's perception, but also their perceptions are not always right. They're not. And so we need to remember that sometimes our perception is not always right. And so I put it on the right hand because that's a direct opposite of what we just always just go to. We just believe that, right? And you know, we always believe like, oh, it's so odd that someone's not right-handed. Why is that? Because that's a perception that we've learned. And so that's just something to be aware of and acknowledge that you might have a perception, you might think something, but it's not always accurate. And so to look deeper into that. Okay, on the left arm, we put things that we are really great at. So I put creative, I put artistic. I'm not an artist, but I love to do like artistic things. Confident in some areas. And we're all learning, so that's important. And things that I want to be, that I want to do still in my lifetime, I put, of course I want to be financially stable, right? And let's see, what else did I put? I can't, it's kind of like muffled. Oh, I mean, I just continuously want to grow my services. So that's something that I'm always looking for in the future. Like there's never ever activity that I just say like, oh, this is great, we're going to use this for everything. I'm always like coming up with things, and I want to have like a plethora of stuff to share with people. So that's something that I want to continue in my future. Okay, so, and that's on my left hand because I'm actually left-handed. So I think it's really cool that we live in a society that is so much more accepting. We like I said, our perceptions change with the information and the knowledge that we gain. So okay, so moving forward, we have the inner baby, the inner child brain. And so I put, I love you, you are beautiful, you are, oh, I can't read my writing. That's so funny. That's so typical of me too, because I just write and write and write and write, and sometimes I can't read my writing. It says, you are, I'm gonna say, what do I want to say to my baby? You are loved. I love your energy. I want to support you. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of how to do this activity. I will say that this is it can be emotional, because we're writing things down and we're learning about our triggers. So just be ready for that. Be open. You don't have to fix someone's emotions. You don't have to fix what they're feeling. We want them to feel that so that we can move forward and give them tools to work through that. This is something that I do multiple times with a participant. I even do this with my kids. I did this with my husband. I do this with all ages, again, who can write and read. And it's just a really great exercise. So I hope you find it fun and interesting and healing all at the same time. So if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day. Don't forget to process and play.